7:01, so let's go ahead and kick this class off. First of all, I just want to welcome everyone to the class. I hope you are as excited as I am. I'll be painting right along with everyone else. We are very, very excited to have City Art Room right here, located right here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I am. And Kim Washington is going to be doing our instruction tonight. I've got just a little housekeeping. I've got everyone on mute as you log in. However, Kim would like to make this as interactive as possible. So if you have a question or just clarification on something, just unmute yourself and feel free to ask your question. Kim's going to have the floor in a minute, and she'll be glad to stop and help everyone out. Before we get started, I just wanted to welcome everyone to our Summer Pass series. Remind you to check out the rest of our schedule. We've got a lot of good things coming down the line. You can check that out on our website at beconet.com/flourish, and hope that you will join us in some of our other classes and events. Again, we're really excited. I've got Kim Washington again with City Art Room. She will be going through some instruction right now, so without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Kim, and welcome everyone again.
All right, thank you so much, Candy. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope you all are as excited as I am. As Candy mentioned, my name is Kim Washington, and I'm located right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Right now, I'm in our studio, and behind me, I have our fabulous bubble wall to set the mood. So that's all the bubbles that you see behind me. So just a little bit about our company. We are an art studio that specializes in team builders, both locally, and we do it virtually, obviously. And we also offer some other cool art services such as human body painting, as well as like custom wall murals, and there's like a host of others that you find on our website. So tonight we're going to be doing a little wine glass painting. It'll take us about an hour to get through this exercise. And before we actually get started with the painting, I actually want to run through a checklist to make sure everybody has the materials that they need to do the activity. The first three things that you need, the main things that you need are the glasses, brushes, and paint. And then our supporting materials that you'll need are a cup of water. You need a paint palette. Some of you have clear little palettes, and some of you have little mini plates like this. You'll need paper towel. And we also included aprons in your kit if you don't want to risk getting any paint on your clothing. Great job, Miss Rhonda. If the paint does get on fabric, it will be permanent if you let it stay on there a long time. So if you get it on your sofa, if you get it on your clothes or anything like that, you want to go ahead and immediately get some soap and water to remove it. All right. Also in your kits, you have curing instructions. We're going to be using that later on after we finish the painting activity. That will be used in order to make the paint permanent on the glass, so it becomes dishwasher safe and so forth. But I'll be going over that later as we wrap up the actual session. All right, so I'm going to talk us through our steps first of what we're going to be doing with these wine glasses, okay? So I have a sample here that you'll see. We're going to be creating a beach scene of your choice on these glasses, okay? We're going to start with a standard, we have like a standard template, so we'll be painting some sand, water, and trees, but the creative element is going to come in where we're going to be adding other items, and I'm going to show everybody how to do all these items, but we can do sun, we can do a sailboat, we can do beach chairs, umbrellas. On the base, you probably can't see it too well, but on the base, you can do stuff like flip-flops, jellyfish, name engravement. So that's where we're going to start with, all right? Does anybody have any questions right now? All righty. So we're going to be starting with the biggest brush that everyone has in their kit. All of the brushes are new, so they may be a little stiff. So you'll probably have to break it up a little bit with your fingers to get those bristles nice and loose. All right, and you may want to dip it in your water cup as well to make sure that the brush is nice and soft before we get started. During this evening session, we will have about a 10-minute break at some point. That's going to allow for a little bit of air drying, as well if anybody needs to go and get some drink refills. Hopefully everybody has a nice refreshing drink by their side, whether it's a soft drink or a hard drink, it doesn't matter. I have my lovely bottle of water here, and maybe a hard drink for later when I get off work. All righty, so once we have those brushes nice and loose, the bristles nice and loose, we're gonna start painting our sand first, okay? So everyone has these little baggies that came in their kit, like these. Now you have two options. You can squeeze the paint out onto one of the pallets, or you can actually just work with the paint inside the bag, okay? So you can simply just open up the baggie. Here, and I'm gonna open up one on my end. All right, so if you wanna squeeze it out, what you'll wanna do is you'll wanna just open up a little area of the bag, just a little bit, a little hole, and then you'll squeeze it out. If you wanna work with the paint in the bags, we're gonna open up the whole entire bag, and you'll simply be just dipping your brush into the bag, okay? All right, now for our first step, before we start the sand, everyone gets to determine how much sand they want, okay? On the model here, we have it coming up to about yay high. But if you want less sand, that's fine. The sand can stop on the stem or it can come up higher. I'll leave that up to you to decide. Our sand color is gonna be yellow. We can use a little bit of yellow, a little bit of white, and a little bit of brown. And I will also say, depending on what beach you're trying to create or which location you're trying to mirror, that's going to determine your sand color, okay? If you're at Ocean City, you may use brown, white, and yellow. If you're in West Florida, like Destin, Florida, if you want the sugar sand, you're going to use more white in your ratio to get that type of sand. You also have red in your kit, so you can use a little bit of red if you want to create a pinkish Caribbean type of sand. I'm going to use yellow and brown, and I'm just going to mix some on my plate. So I'm just mixing a little bit here. All right. We'll give it a few more seconds, just I want to make sure everyone has the colors that they want to start with for the sand. All right. Now, once we have the color that we want, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start painting our glass, okay? I'm going to go ahead and mark off where I want my sand to start. So let me show you here. That'll be where my sand, it'll stop actually right there. And I'm going to be painting from my base, from the base all the way up through the stem to where I marked off. If it helps you, you can turn your glass this way. It might be easier to handle. Turn it upside down. Now, as far as your brush strokes go, I recommend don't go, so I wouldn't go head on with the brush like that because it's going to make it really streaky. I recommend sort of laying the brush sideways, more flat, so you can get a nice, smooth, even distribution with the paint, okay? So again, I'm laying it kind of flat to the side, and I'm going to be brushing that way. You'll notice that your first coat will be a little streaky, and that's fine. What we're going to be doing is we're going to move through all of our steps, and you can always go back and do a second coat of painting at the end of this session or even after this session if you have enough paint. We want to make sure that as we paint that we're spreading out the paint very good so that it dries a little bit faster for us through the process. All right, so we want to make sure we have real good coverage down there on that base. So right now I have pretty good coverage on mine. And again, as I was saying, the paint may look a little sheer, but that's okay because later we can come back and it doesn't take long for this paint to dry and we can do another coat for our sand. So we'll take a couple more minutes to finish up the sand part. We'll get started on our next step around 7:15. All right, it looks like someone said they're frozen. Miss Delilah, Miss Delilah, you're frozen. You don't look frozen to me. All right, so once we finish with our sand, we're gonna rinse out our brushes and our water cup. So you'll just give your brushes a nice swirl in the water cups. We're gonna dry it on some paper towel. All right, so next we're gonna be focusing on our water, all right? And the water could be a couple of different colors. So you have standard blue paint in your kits. What we can do is we can use white to make it lighter if you choose to, or we could use the green paint that you have. You can use a little bit of that, and we can make sort of a turquoise type of water. If you wanted to have more of a Caribbean type of hue, then you would use blue, green, and white. So again, there's a few different shades of water that we can have. If you want a darker water, you could use a little bit of black if you wanted to appear more of like a navy blue or like a midnight blue. For simplicity, I'm not going to get too crazy with my blue color, my watercolor. I'm just gonna stick with the blue for demonstration purposes. And I'm gonna be using that same big brush that we started with for the sand. And same technique as far as brush strokes go. I'm gonna use the brush sideways, so it's not as streaky. I'm just gonna start creating my water. Now you can decide how high up you want your water to go. You may want to think about when you're drinking your wine out of this glass, or whatever beverage you may be drinking out of it. If you want your beverage to be hidden in the water, then you want the water to come up higher. I'm gonna take my water up probably halfway. These are pretty big glasses. I'm assuming no one would fill it up all the way up with wine, maybe only half a glass of wine. So normally water has reflections in it, and what we'll do later is we'll take the thin brush that we have, and we'll take some white and add in like little ripples and like little highlights in the water to give it more of a realistic effect. Right now, we're just focusing on getting our base color in there. Again, a turquoise water or blue water or aqua, totally up to you, but we're just doing our base right now. If it helps you as far as getting a nice brush stroke, what you can do is, instead of lifting the brush a lot, you can just take the brush and wrap it around as much as possible the glass without lifting the brush. You're just going to turn that glass in one hand and move that brush around with the other. A little bit later, I'll be showing you as well of how to add some white along the shoreline so that we could give the illusion of waves crashing onto the beach. But that'll be later as the paint, once the paint dries a little bit more. The top of your waterline does not have to be straight. You can make it wavy if you want to. So don't worry about it being perfect. All right, from Holly. So my paint looks a lot thicker. No matter what I do, my paint is streaking. Let me see if I can go to Holly's screen here. Holly. Okay, I see. Let me zoom in on that. All righty, I can see now. All righty, are you talking about for the sand or for the sand part or for the water part, Miss Holly? your water looks good from what I can see. And we'll do another coat. Of course, it may look a little different in person, but from what I'm seeing, I see what you're saying. All right, and what colors did you use for your base? Was it the white and the yellow? Or the white, yellow, and brown? Okay, so white and yellow. All right. So what I'm going to recommend is when we go back through and do another coat, maybe use a little bit of brown as well. And on the second coat, it should appear to be more thicker, actually. All righty. And the same thing goes for your water as well. For my sand, I did use a good little scoop of brown. So that may have made the difference as far as how thick it is. All right, guys, if there's any more questions, feel free to ask. You can go off of mute and definitely interrupt at any time and ask a question. All right, looks like we still have a couple people working on the blue. We'll take a couple more minutes on that. The next step we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on our sun. I'll just show you guys what that looks like on mine here. So you can start thinking about what color you want your sun to be. This is a flat yellow. And I just thought about something. I'm going to stick some paper in my demonstration glass so you can see it better. Well, that made it worse. Anyways, I have a yellow sun on my glass. You can use yellow and orange for your sun, or you can use white, but that's what we'll be doing next with one of our smaller brushes. Everyone has 3 brushes in their kit. So you have the biggest one, and then you have the detailing one, and you have one that's in between, a medium-sized one. I believe that most of you can use your medium-sized brush to create the sun in between the medium one or the fine one. So once you finish with your water, you can rinse your brush out in the water and you can lay that aside. And we're just going to move on to our sun next with our smaller brush. Oh, Candy, you don't want anybody to know what's in your glass, do you? Your water's all the way up to the brim. All right, so we're going to be doing our sun. Like as I was saying, everyone has a really tiny brush in their kit, and then everyone has a medium-sized brush. I believe the medium-sized brushes vary a little bit depending on which batch you were in distribution of the. So we will take the fine one, the fine brush, to draw our circle for the sun. I'm just going to get some more yellow paint here. All right. So once I have my yellow paint for the sun, and again, if you want yellow and red makes orange. So if you want to use some of that red to create like an orangey hue for the sun, you can. But I'm going to start with the yellow. All right, and so I'm just going to do a little circle here. And actually, I'm going to turn my glass this way since that part is wet. I'm going to do a circle about the size of a nickel. And I'm bracing my hand on the glass as well to kind of help me create a more perfect circle. And if you want a big sun, that's fine as well. There's actually two ways you can do your sun too. I failed to mention this. Mine is going to be in the sky, as you see me doing it here. But another way you can do it, if you wanted to like a sunrise or a sunset, you can actually do it on top of your water. So you have those two options. And I'll demonstrate both for you. And I'll remove one, but for demonstration, I'm going to show you how to do both. So we have the sun that's actually in the sky. All right. Or you can do a half of a circle going over your water as if it's a sunrise or a more so like a sunset. All right. This paint comes off the glass really easy when it's wet. So if you need to wipe anything off, that is totally fine. So now I'm just going to fill in my sun. I demonstrated two different types of suns that we can do. Actually, I decided to keep the one that looks like a sunset since I already have the raised sun in the demonstration, the other glass. All right. So my sun is a bright yellow, but I'm going to get a little bit of red to create an orangey type of hue on the inside some. So as you do your sun, you may be noticing that your base should be getting pretty dry if you did a nice thin coat around the stem area. And that's what we wanted to do. We want these coats to dry so that we can go back and do other work. All right, so once we have the sun, we're gonna go back through and try to do another coat of the paints that we just did before we go to the other steps. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go back through over the course of, I'd say 5 minutes or so, and we do another coat of sand, and then we'll do another coat of water. Once we do that, we're gonna take a 5-minute break so that it can dry a little bit. So right now, we're just gonna go back through with our big brush, and we're gonna pretty much repeat those steps and do another coat to make sure we have good coverage before we do all of our other accessories in the sand, like flip-flops and so forth. All right, keep in mind that it's important to use your brush sideways to get really good coverage. And it'll also help cover up any streaks from the first coat. Once you're happy with that second coat of sand, we'll just keep moving on to the water. Next, once you're happy with it, that looks good. Arthur Glover screen. So right now I'm just going back over my water here before we let it dry some. So on my second coat for the water, I actually used a little bit of, I'm using a little bit of green and white to add some variation and shade in the water since I already have a standard blue. So by doing this, I'm able to just pull out some different shades of blue, but still able to see some of my original, the darker blue, through this second coat. So it creates a nice, realistic, more of a realistic look for the water. Once we do our second coat of water, we will go through and add in some reflective type of strokes with our thin brush. So that's once you get to that. Once you're done with the second coat of blue, we'll just go through with a thin brush and we'll add use some white to add in our water reflections. So I will demonstrate that in probably in about 2 minutes. I see some of us are still working on the blue. All right, so now I'm gonna take my little baby brush, the thin brush, with some white paint. I'm just gonna go in my water and do some thin little strokes. Definitely, if you have a sunset type of sun, I recommend doing some white strokes underneath the sun to show the sun reflecting in the water. Doing some thin, very thin little horizontal lines here. You don't have to overdo it. You just do a few here and there throughout your water. If you want calm water, you'll want these little lines. You'll want your strokes to be nice and smooth and somewhat straight. But if you want turbulent water, more like waves, you'll do a wavy line instead, or slanted lines to show motion. I like my water to be nice and calm, so I'm going with some nice horizontal strokes. I'm actually going to do them around the glass as well, here and there. And if you feel the need to go back over your sun, definitely you could do that as well if you want to do a second coat of yellows and orange on that. All right, so as we wrap up our water reflections, we're gonna take about 5 minutes to let these dry some. It's 7:45. So if you could wrap up this second coating within like the next 60 seconds or so, that would be great, so that we could just leave the glass alone for 5 minutes, and we would start our next step around 7:51. Now, as it dries some, I would like us to go ahead and start thinking about what creative elements we want to add to the glass. We're definitely going to have the palm trees, of course, but go ahead and start thinking about what would you like to add in the sand. Again, I have flip-flops, I have a little heart, I put 2020 because we don't want to forget this year. And I have a beach chair. I have a beach chair and a beach umbrella, a sailboat, and I'm sure there's something I didn't think of. So definitely you can add a cooler if you want to. I don't have a cooler there, but we can get really creative with that stuff. All right, so once we come back from our 5-minute break, we're gonna be doing the palm trees, and after the palm trees is where we're gonna start doing some various creative elements. If there's something that I don't have on this glass or something you need me to show you, you can always raise your hand and I will definitely demonstrate how to draw it and so forth. But 7:51, we'll be back to start on our next step. I'm gonna turn off my little video here and take me a little water break. And again, I'll be back at 7:51.
While we wait, would everyone like to hold their glass up and show what they're doing? They look good. Let's see where my son is. My son. Uh-huh. Emerald, yours is, look at Emerald's.
I put a lot of white on accident, so I just
It
kind of
looks
spread it all
good.
out.
I don't hear anything. I put unmute. I unmuted it. I should be able to hear her talking. Where's the volume?
Well, you're
I was on mute as well.
Okay.
That's why you couldn't hear me.
You're crazy.
No, you're not.
I was trying to find out how to unmute myself.
That would be such a cruel trick to play on us. Mute yourself and be like,
I'm trying to get some light in. Oh.
Figured you didn't want to hear me talking to my BFF and my niece over here.
Okay, I have another light. Turn on my other light.
Which their glasses look better than mine. Mm-mm.
See, here's mine.
Pretty.
Thank you.
Y'all see it?
You see it?
That's nice.
Thank you. The sand came out very streaky for me.
Well, at first I didn't like it, but then later, it actually, when I looked at it, it looks realistic.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, it's streaky, but it's okay. It's yellow.
All right, so sounds like we have some career changes going on or something. Got some artists. We're just gonna start painting wine glasses for a living now. These are looking great.
They actually came out pretty nice.
All right, so now we're gonna move on to our palm trees. So I'll show you what I have here. I have big palm trees right now on this glass, but
Water.
you can make them small. I'm gonna show you how to actually do a palm tree, so they don't have to be as big. I'm gonna be starting with the smallest brush that we have in our kit. And so you're gonna need brown and green for this step. So we're gonna get that small brush. We're gonna make sure it's pretty clean. All right. So we're gonna start with brown paint. Now, as far as the placement of the trees go, you can decide where you want yours to go. Mine, so this has a little beach chair between the trees, so I put them kind of close together. But on this glass, I'm actually gonna put my trees to the left and the right of the sun. so that when you're looking at the trees, the sun is right there in the middle. So with my brown paint, coming from the sand, I'm going to do a line up into the sky. And let me turn it this way so you can see it. So I'm doing a line up into the sky, and it can be, you want it to slant some.
Okay.
All right. So almost like you could, if it helps, you can look at it as a left parentheses. So both of my trees, it's the right one will be a right parentheses over here.
Oh,
The left
okay.
one will be a left parentheses. Yeah.
Okay.
But you don't have to bend it as much, but I figured that would
help. Yeah.
you know how to line it. So again, we're just doing a little thin line for our trunks, and I'm doing it on both sides of my sun. You'll want to keep in mind, we still have to add the palms, so you still want to have some good spacing between the sun and where the palms will go. All right. So again, we have the brown line just coming in from out of that sand. As you can see, I pretty much did parentheses, left and right parentheses.
Which brush did you use?
The little one.
The thin one, the very thin one?
Very thin one.
Okay.
The actual line of the trunk does not have to be smooth and perfect. It helps if it's not, because it looks more realistic. If it's not as smooth, if it's kind of crooked a little, doing a little zigzag, a little swirl is fine. Once we have that, we're going to be going to our green. So once you're happy with the placement of your trunks, we're going to get some green paint on our palettes. All right, so we're gonna move forward with actually painting the palms on the trees. And it's gonna be 2 steps, all right? So we're gonna be doing, I'm gonna show you, you'll want to do your, what I like to call branches first. So I'm gonna do 5 branches so you'll see what I'm talking about. So like 1, 2, all right, and then 3, 4, and 5, okay? So these are like our little shoots that's coming out from the tree, what I would call branches for the sake of this demonstration. All right, and then from there, we're gonna actually do our like hanging, like the palms, the leaves. So you'll be doing little vertical strokes from each of those shoots. And let me put some paper here. So like that. And I'm gonna move throughout this whole palm doing the same thing. I'm gonna be doing the hanging leaves from these shoots. And when I finish, it's gonna make it look really nice and full. It's also okay if the tree overlaps the sun some. So my tree will do that. So some of my palms will go over the sun a little. All right. So this is one tree. I'm gonna go to the other side to do the next one. Now, if your green looks a little streaky, again, that's okay. We can always add another coat later. So I have nice full trees now. I've added all my palms. All right, so I know some of you are still wrapping up your palm trees. That's fine. So the palm trees are like the last standard thing to add to the glass. Everything else is going to be strictly what you want on your glass added to this concept. So as I was mentioning before our break, there are several different things that we can add to the glass. It's totally up to you. We have about another little under 30 minutes left in this session. So I want to make sure we have plenty of time for me to demonstrate anything that may need to be shown for any individual. So I'm just going to run through the list again of different things that we can add. So in this hand right here, the glass moving up and down, is the glass that I have all the different creative elements on. The one in my right hand is just the standard glass, okay? But on the pre-painted glass, I have flip-flops, jellyfish, initials in the sand or numbers, sailboat, beach chair, umbrella. Another thing I didn't add earlier is that you can do dolphins as well coming out of the water. And I'm open for ideas. So if anybody has anything that I haven't mentioned that you'd like to share with the group, please feel free to speak up.
Sharknadoes seem appropriate for 2020.
Sharknado?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Kim, can you demonstrate a dolphin?
Yeah, I can show you how to do a dolphin, definitely. Someone wants to do a hammock, a submarine.
I want to do a hat and some sunglasses.
Okay, is it going to be laying in the sand, Loretta?
Yes.
Okay, I like it. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do a dolphin. And I'm actually going to show you how to do it on a plate so that you can actually see it better.
Okay.
For the dolphin. So, all right. And Candy, this is for you, right? All righty. So we're going to start with this right here. You see it? All right. This is going to be like the curve of the body of the dolphin, okay? And then you're going to have a fin, which is going to be like a slanted upside down V. Or you can look at it as like a less than sign mathematically. But this is the top part of the dolphin, okay? So we have where it's slanting, then we have the fin. All right, and then over here, we got the little nose coming out. And it's really the reverse of what we just did for the bottom of the dolphin. I believe, I don't have a reference photo. Do they have a fin at the bottom of their bodies? Or is it just the one on the top? You don't know?
I think they have one in the back, at the bottom.
At
No,
the
no,
bottom.
not down there. No, you're right. No, not down there. I thought you meant just the tail.
Oh, okay, so, okay, I got you.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it would be something like that, okay? So it's just gonna be smooth along the bottom here. And you have the nose, and you have the top part that I just demonstrated. All right. All right, and now we have a hammock. All right, so somebody's gonna do a hammock between the trees, I believe. Let's see. Arthur, is that you guys? Are you doing a hammock between the trees?
Yes.
All righty. So I'm gonna recommend using brown paint for that to start off with the thin brush. Let me just rinse out my brush here. All right, so we're just gonna rope it. We're just gonna do a line that's bent, kind of bowed from tree to tree. All right, that's what we'll start with. I'm gonna get some red paint to actually do the actual fabric of it. And all you're gonna do is, it's a sideways view, but in between your brown line, you're gonna make it a little bit thicker with the red paint or whatever color you want the hammock to be. Like this. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Typically, they're all kind of wrapped up and twisted all sorts of ways in real life. So it'd be something like this for a hammock. And you can make it thicker if you'd like to, but that'll give the illusion of it. All right, Sandcastle, boy, you guys are just full of creativity. I hadn't thought about that one. All right, Elizabeth and crew, Sandcastle. Now I'm seeing these ideas, but let me know what I need to demonstrate, because I don't know if that's just a recommendation or if you guys need me to show you how to do a seashell. So seashell, sandcastle. Elizabeth, do you guys need the demonstration on the sandcastle, or was that just an idea? Okay, got it. No demonstration from Elizabeth. All righty. Miss Julie, you want to see the chair demonstrated? All righty. So next I'll be demonstrating the little red chair. Let me find some space. I'm gonna do it on the back side. Now keep in mind, we've really just been focusing on like the front side of the glass. We have this whole other back side where we can add things. So for the chair, we're gonna do a vertical slanted rectangle. So you're gonna do two parallel lines at a slant, okay? Then you're gonna enclose the top and the bottom for the chair. All right, and then at the front of that, the part where it's slanting away from, you're gonna just do a nice little horizontal line that's gonna be like the base of the chair, right here. All right. And then we can add some little legs to that. So we'll do like a little leg there, a little leg here. So it'll be like that, okay? So that's pretty much the foundation of it. You can fill in the chair. You can also raise some little, put some little poles or handles at the top like that. And then all you do from that point is you can fill it in with your desired colors. All right. I'm gonna fill in my chair. Now earlier, I don't think I talked much about mixing colors, and I don't think anyone asked a question about it, but we can make other colors besides what just came in your kit. If you need to make peach, I can show you how to make peach. Purple is red and blue. Pink is red and white. Turquoise is blue and green. And if I'm not thinking of something, let me know. But if you have a question about a specific color you'd like to make, just let me know. Now the submarine, I might have to Google that one. I don't know if I don't know if I have an image in my head of a submarine.
I got it.
Oh, okay. All right, so seagulls. All righty. So for the seagulls, I'm gonna keep that really basic. So for any birds or anything flying in the sky, I recommend doing your standard, you can do like the letter M or the W in the sky to give the illusion of birds flying, or it can be the V, a V. And actually, I'll demonstrate on this. I'll flip it around actually. All right, so for anything that's flying, I recommend doing, you can do like a little V. Some people do, I've seen an M, like that. Yeah, so M or V. I was trying out a W. I don't think the W is it. But this is, these done in a very small fashion on your glass will give that illusion of a bird flying or a seagull in the distance. Mimi, would you like to see a sandcastle? Let's see, where's Mimi at? Mimi, if you need a sandcastle demonstration, just let me know and I will show you.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Did you say you were going to do a sandcastle demonstration?
Oh, yeah, I was asking you, I saw you recommended it. So did you want me to demonstrate how to do it?
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Alrighty. So for the sandcastle, again, we're using a thin brush. I will use some brown paint. Sandcastles, I recommend doing them along the stem if you want a sandcastle. And it's really going to be a bunch of rectangles and triangles. So again, I would do a little sandcastle on the base. And the sandcastle is just going to be a combination of various size rectangles and triangles. I'll do a very basic one first, and I'll show you. So I'm starting here. So something like this is what you can start with, and then you can add other like little squares and rectangles within that, or you can make this bigger, but this will be a good start. All right, and a sandal, I can show you how to do a sandal. I'm going to do that with red paint so you can clearly see it. The easiest way to do the sandal is going to be, I would actually start with ovals or 2 number zeros actually. Something like this. And I will fill in those zeros with the color choice. And this is going to be the easiest way to do it. Of course, you can shape out those zeros so that they look more like you can see all the arches and curves and a real flip-flop. I would start there. And then for your flip-flop strap, it's just going to be an upside down V. That you would do within. Let's see if you can see that. I don't think you can see it, but basically at the top, oh, there it is. Something like that for flip-flops. So 2 zeros, upside down V. Oh yeah, since you're in Maryland, how about a crab? Yep, you can do a crab as well. There's different types of crab though. What do you got? Is it blue crab in Maryland? Like what's the crab up there? Blue crab?
Yeah, it's a blue crab. I went ahead and found a clip art and
Oh, that's cool. I like that. That is really good.
thank you.
All right, let's see what else we have. You guys came up with a lot of great ideas. I'm glad I asked for some more recommendations. I wasn't thinking deep enough. All right, if there's any more demonstrations, feel free to put it in the window or any more ideas that you may just want to share.
Hey, thanks all. We're going to head out right now. This is Eric and Rose. We got Heather and Rob here. Thanks so much for everything.
All right, thank you. You have a good night.
You too. Be safe.
All right. So it looks like we have covered all of the elements of the glass. Of course, you guys can continue to work throughout the night. I definitely want to use the last 10 minutes to just give you the tips that you'll need after this session in order to cure the glass. In your kit, you got the instructions. Over the next 3 days, you'll want to let these air dry, or after you're finished painting. If you're still painting tomorrow, you'll want to add another 3 days to that. But let these air dry before you follow those curing instructions that's in your kit. You're going to be baking these in your oven on 350 for 30 minutes. You don't want to preheat the oven. You'll want that gradual temperature change because you don't want to risk the glass exploding or cracking in your oven. When you take it out, you also want to let it cool off before you let it touch any water because you don't want it to crack in your hands in the sink as well. Are there any questions for me right now as we wrap up? I will say, if you have more paint left over, and if you're just looking for something to do, you can paint the dishes in your kitchen. I mean, if you're just tired of your dish set that you have at home, feel free to use this paint. It's multi-surface paint, so it'll work on any glass. You can go ahead and get some Christmas plates ready for this season. Totally up to you. So I definitely encourage you all to use the paint for some more art activity once you finish your wine glass. I think that is, I think I have a new message. Let's see here what we have. Yes, so these will be dishwasher safe once you actually cure it. So after you heat it in your oven, it becomes top rack dishwasher safe. So you'll be good to go there. And the paint really lasts a long time. Like, we have customers that come back and say, we did this 2 years ago and we still have the glass. So it really, if you cure it, it will definitely last. All righty, well, it's been such a pleasure painting with you all tonight. I hope everybody had a good time. I hope everyone doesn't quit their day jobs all at once.
Kim, thank you so much. It was so fun. And I hope everybody else enjoyed it as much as I did.
Yes, I did.
Again, thank you for being part of our Summer Pass series, Kim. This was really great. And just a reminder to everyone to please check out our website again to see what's up and coming. We've got a fabulous magician coming up next week. You can check out all of this on our website, beconet.com/flourish. And we hope everyone stays safe and has a great night. And we will see you back here at the next event.
Good night.